2025. It is everyone here. This is the movement. We are going to be prepared day one, January 2025, to hit the ground running as conservatives to really help the next president. Heritage got on the marker as an organization by delivering the first mandate for leadership in 1980 to President-elect Reagan. We also, over time, gave a lot of resumes in. But when Dr. Roberts came aboard, he said, this task in 2024 is too big for any one think tank. This has to be a movement. And what we've done is use our convening power here at Heritage to bring the entire movement together. So 2025 is not a Heritage thing. It's a conservative movement thing. We're going to explain briefly here. We're going to have a panel, and we'll have a video. But what we're doing is systematically preparing to march into office and bring a new army of aligned, trained, and essentially weaponized conservatives ready to do battle against the deep state. So if you would, join me in watching the video and inviting our fellow panelists here, Ed, Rick, and Ken Cuccinelli, over. So we'll cue the video and have a little discussion. What is Project 2025? It's a call for you to come work here, Washington, D.C.
Conservatives face a tough challenge in Washington, the swamp. The left has built a system that blocks and sabotages our efforts to run our government and deliver a conservative agenda.
People would come into the government on behalf of a president and not be bought into the agenda that he was elected to do. They were either uncommitted or incompetent.
Things aren't going to change unless you commit to serving our country.
We want to make sure that the plans that are in place have been vetted so that the person knows not only what argument and excuses come in their way, but what the answer is, and have the trust of a movement-wide effort led by the Heritage Foundation to make sure that they know that it's credible and it's conservative.
This time, we have a secret weapon. This time, we have Project 2025. By learning from the experience of former conservative appointees, we can overcome common obstacles and get things done.
The reason I got involved is because I wanted to be part of a movement-led effort, and Heritage Foundation has used their influence to be able to convene the movement.
We can be ready to hit the ground running on day one of the next administration. In the wise words of Morton Blackwell, you owe it to your philosophy to study how to win. Project 2025 will ensure a conservative agenda is ready to roll on day number one.
Make sure that we, as conservatives, are prepared to hit the ground running January 20th, 2025. To learn more, go to project2025.org. Great. Well, let me explain briefly how we've structured Project. Thank you. Let me give you a little overview how we've structured this, and I'm going to pass the mic over to Rick Dearborn to give you a little bit overview from his viewpoint as Deputy Chief of Staff in the White House and running the last transition. We have 4 pillars we speak of, and this is an integrated approach. First, as you know, today we came out with our policy book, Mandate for Leadership. This sets the table for what conservatives want in their next standard bearer. We are bringing this out before the primaries to bring the candidates to our point of view. And we're standing at the ready to train them up and give them policy expertise. But this is a great sampling across our 50-plus member coalition of what conservatives in the main want to see in the next 4 years. 2, we're making a massive database, conjoining all of our personnel recommendations into essentially a conservative LinkedIn. This is for anyone in America to enter into government here in Washington. This place is only going to change when we take people in from outside of the Beltway. Anyone who's listening to this, who's ever aspired to come serve, this is your call to do it now. Join the database, create your profile, and then 2, we shift into pillar 3. It's our online training. It's going to teach you the rules of the road. How do you function in government? How does government function? We're going to teach you the more mundane things about how to get a security clearance, but we're going to tell you how to work effectively with a career staff, how to the budget processing work, the budget process works, and all these other intricacies of federal government life that you can't learn on the job. And then finally, we're going to be doing the playbook. This is our plan of action for the first 180 days. We're doing transition teams. Rick, why don't you tell us a little bit about your experience on the last transition and how this project will make it different?
Thanks, Paul. I appreciate that. So, Rick Dearborn, I'm the former deputy chief of staff for President Trump in the White House. But before that, and right after he won election in 2016, 3 days later, I was tapped to be the executive director of a presidential transition. I think James Baker is the only person that's been on a transition 5 times. I think he ran one 3 times. Normally, when you do it, it's your first time doing it. I love doing it. I don't know that I want to do it again, but the peaceful transition of power is an awesome responsibility. I would have given my right arm to have had the book that I see on so many tables out there, to have this mandate for leadership, the conservative promise. I would have been able to go to our agency action team and put the book down and say, hey, here's what you should take a look at when you're going to build out how to run EPA or the Department of Justice or DOD. The 4th pillar that you talked about, Paul, the idea that there's a battle plan, plans, executive orders. How do you write those? What rules are important? What should you focus on? What can you anticipate that Congress may want to reverse or advance? What should your priorities be for the administration? You know, all of that will be part of this project that we provide the next conservative